There will be no spoilers for Jurassic World Rebirth in the first opening segment. I will give a verbal warning for when I will start talking spoilers. And also, I got this boy. You're a disappointment.
For today, in the name of freedom, we take the battle to them.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jurassic World Rebirth has finally released my most anticipated movie of 2025 because obviously, as many of you know, it's the inspiration of the logo. I love the Jurassic franchise. The Jurassic franchise and Transformers are my two favorite franchises, and Jurassic has been a bit questionable over the years. I liked Dominion. That's not the direction I would have taken that movie, but I liked the movie that we got. Fallen Kingdom was a bit questionable, a bit too cheesy for me. The Indoraptor was completely wasted. Jurassic World, obviously, my favorite movie of all time. Again, I will acknowledge Jurassic Park is still the best movie, but Jurassic World is my favorite. Jurassic Park 3, underrated. The Lost World, I never liked. Jurassic Park, of course, absolute peak. But now we have the seventh installment in this franchise, and that is Jurassic World Rebirth. Now, when this was first announced, I had mixed feelings on it because I love the logo, because it really, with the sun in the background, it shows it's a new era of the franchise, and this is the rebirth. We are, doing something new. But keeping the word world in the title just keeps it associated with the other movies. So your subtext of rebirth is completely nullified. And that was, pretty upsetting, but obviously they would never remove the word world from there because the Jurassic World movies have all made $1 billion at the box office. So I went into Jurassic World Rebirth, cautiously optimistic about certain things, which I will get into with the spoilers, but overall, I was pretty disappointed. I found the movie to be alright. It was decent. I was just like sitting there being like, what are we doing? What are we doing? This should not have been the follow-up to Jurassic World Dominion. This isn't a spoiler, it's in the first trailer. I won't specify anything apart from things shown in the first trailer in case you still haven't seen the movie, but it's in the first trailer where it's like people, for some reason, don't care about dinosaurs anymore. They don't find them interesting. And on top of that, the dinosaurs are like dying out in the world, which has got to be the fucking stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. You have the world that's full of dinosaurs, and you just decide, we're just gonna kill them off. No one cares. That is automatically one of the dumbest things in the world. Going to an island as the premise of the movie? Sure, I don't mind that. But why are we killing off the other dinosaurs around the world? That made absolutely no sense whatsoever. But regardless, that is basically the premise of the beginning of the movie, is them immediately hitting you with that, a very Star Wars-esque, or what is more of a Planet of the Apes-esque opening there with the text. Yes, that's how they explain everything. The other Jurassic World movies, open up with a report. But here, they use text. Kind of lazy, but whatever. Let's just talk about the characters. So you have two groups of characters here. You have the main group of mercenaries who are obviously going to the island to get the DNA that they need for, to make this drug or whatever it is that'll solve this disease. Scarlett Johansson's character, Zora, I thought was, all right. She was cool. Then you had Mahershala Ali's character, who also kind of cool. It didn't really make me feel that attached to the characters, just because there were no stakes, so there was no reason for me to care about any of these characters. But I liked their friendship. Jonathan Bailey's character of Henry Loomis, I think, was easily the best character of the movie. I loved him. I thought that he was very funny in the moments when he was, meant to be. I thought he was great. Even the scenes when he is serious, he's very much the combination of Dr. Grant and Dr. Malcolm. Very, very similar. I loved his character. I thought that he was great. The opening scene is, interesting. That's all I'm gonna say. It's interesting. With some really high highs and some really low lows, but whatever. You see, I made a sandwich because I started talking about the mercenary characters, which was mainly negative. Then I spoke about the opening, which I really liked. And then we get to the other group of characters, which is this family. They may be the most sickening characters in this franchise. They are absolutely, like, mind-bogglingly annoying. Oh my god. I've never wanted characters in a Jurassic movie to die more. Not even Mills from Fallen Kingdom. But regardless, the biggest positive about this movie is the CGI. Oh my god, they really did a great job with the looks of the dinosaurs. Well, not the looks of the dinosaurs, but the looks of the environments and the dinosaurs. Because, my god, I know they shot on location, but it looks so good. Gareth Edwards movies, apart from the 2014 Godzilla movie, generally look great. They really, really do. And the CGI in this movie, I think, is the best of the entire Jurassic World franchise. I loved it, especially the Mosasaurus sequence. I think that, especially that shot of the Spinosaurus like swimming underwater, I think is something straight out of a documentary. That is absolutely amazing. So yeah, the CGI, honestly, was really good. The raft sequence is probably the biggest standout scene of the movie just because the T-Rex is so badass. It's awesome. And then there's the third act, which, absolute garbage. I'm sorry. That was just... I don't want to get into specifics, but the D-Rex, which is shown in the first trailer, is an absolute disappointment. And really, this, alongside with, the other thing in the final battle, which, if you don't know about it, then I won't say anything, really just make me go, yeah, I'm tired of this. I want normal dinosaurs back. Editing Chavez here. I really don't know why I'm only talking about the first trailer. Like, I didn't even mention the Mutadons when I'm literally playing footage of the second trailer. So, yeah. But I will get into the specifics later on. But yeah. The action sequences I thought were, decent. The boat sequence I think is probably the best one. And then apart from that, it's kind of alright. It's kind of alright. But, it's... I don't know. It's a questionable movie. You can even hear... I have the list of things to talk about in front of me, and my mind is still all over the place. But probably one of the biggest negatives about this movie is the constant reminder of Jurassic Park. We know that movie exists. Stop using the fucking theme. The composer of this movie, I don't know the first name, but I know their surname is Desplat. And that should have sparked greatness, because obviously, there's a Tyrannosaurus called Desplatosaurus. And we were all so confident. This person had the easiest job in the world. All they did was just take the Jurassic Park theme, remix it into like 4 or 5 different ways, and bada bing, bada boom, there's a score of the movie. Oh my god. Then obviously you have like just blatant rip-offs of like the kitchen scene and things like that. It's so annoying, especially when it's been done countless times in this franchise. Please just stop. As I said, the third act overall, even the ending is just pretty crap. And apart from that, I can't really get into anything that isn't spoilery. So, just to finish my spoiler-free thoughts on the movie, I thought it was alright. I'd give it a 6.5. Actually, you know what? Now, after a second watch, I would give it a 6 out of 10. Very disappointing. And I just don't think that they know what to do with this franchise. So, either do it right, or just don't do it at all. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is where we are going to enter spoiler territory. So, please, if you have not seen this movie, click off the video. Spoilers! 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 Alright, cool. You clicked off of it? Awesome. They killed the fucking raptors. Oh my god. What the actual fuck? Okay. I'm going to apologize in advance that I'm going to be using the word fuck a lot throughout this review. This pissed me off. So, actually, you know what? Let's talk about the lead up to that scene before I get to the actual raptors themselves. So, this family has got to be the most sickening bunch of morons I have ever seen in a dinosaur film. I wanted all of them to be ripped to pieces by compies. The father is an absolute fucking pussy. He just sits there and stands there and just screams, Isabella! Isabella! Whoever it is, I don't fucking know the other girl's name. Who gives a shit? He just stands there and calls. He doesn't try and help anyone. He's just fucking useless. So there was that. Then there was the older daughter who almost dying. There's the older daughter who, after being rescued, is an absolute bitch to them. Because you have, Dr. Loomis, I was about to say Dr. Bailey, you have Dr. Loomis describing the Mosasaurus to see if this is what attacked them. And she's going, yes, yes, yes. Like, oh my god, just someone slapped this fucking bitch already. Oh my god, she's so annoying. And, when that guy, I think his name is Martin Krebs, the freaking the corporate guy, when he lets her fall off, I was like, oh my god, yes, thank you. And that didn't happen. She didn't get killed, unfortunately. The little girl I thought was absolutely stupid as fuck. I'm sick of having children in these movies. Please, please, please just stop it, for fuck's sake. There was that, and then the most annoying of them all is this fuckwit boyfriend who, oh my god, this has got to be the worst character in the entire franchise. Oh my god. He is painfully unfunny. There is maybe like one scene or maybe two where it actually got a chuckle out of me. Apart from that, I was just sitting there with my eyes half open, being like, please just move on. You're not funny. Like that scene, I think my brain has just been poisoned by this Marvel humor that, like when he looks at Krebs on the boat and he's like, that guy gives me the creeps. As soon as he said that, I knew that when Krebs turns against them, he's going to be like, I knew that guy gave me the creeps. And lo and behold, exactly what happened. And it's just like every time we cut to this family doing useless shit, they are not related to the mercenaries at all. So, that's not only detracting from the mercenaries, character development and stuff like that. It's just a painful thing. It feels like the musical scenes in Joker 2. It feels like we're taking an ad break. It's so annoying. So then you have all of this, and these characters should have died in multiple situations. There's no way. As soon as that older daughter fell into the ocean, there's 4 fucking Spinosaurs there. There's a goddamn Mosasaurus. One of them should have eaten her. She should have died there. The younger one should have been killed by the T-Rex in the raft sequence. The dad also, should have been killed at some point throughout the jungle. I mean, my guy has like a damaged leg. Why is he still around? The boyfriend is just stupid as fuck and doesn't pay attention to anything. He should have been killed by a goddamn twig. It doesn't make any sense. These people should not be alive. And then on top of that, you have, just the first scene they're in, which, well, yes, it was cool to see the Spinosauruses. Why is this idiot in the middle of the ocean on this pathetic little boat? Oh my god. Whew, I hated this family. Look, I've spent the last 12 years ago, I watched Jurassic Park 3 for the first time. I've spent the last 12 years hating on Amanda Kirby, complaining, easily, like saying she's easily the worst character in this franchise. This family beats her. I would rather watch Amanda for 2 movies than this family. And I watched the movie on Saturday for the first time, and I was like, it was okay. The family pissed me off, but it was okay. Then I watched it again in 4DX this time. So at least I had the moving seat, so the experience was better. But overall, the movie sort of just stayed the same. And I was dreading seeing this family again. As soon as I saw the boat, like when I was rewatching the movie, I just rolled my eyes. I leaned back and I was like, oh God, please, no. And, speaking of the family, you have what is, clearly meant to be like their cute character, like cute, non-talking thing in this movie, which I know a lot of people are saying is meant to be like Grogu, and honestly, that's entirely believable. To me, I look at this and I see knockoff Bumpy, because look, there's no dinosaur in this franchise that'll ever be as cute as Bumpy or Smoothie. They are easily the most adorable things in this franchise, and Dolores Umbridge, freaking Dolores, is just absolutely useless. This thing just exists. And the thing is, I didn't even realize this until today, and that is that the young kid, I don't know, fucking know her, Isabella, says, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna take it home. I'm gonna keep it. Oh, I'm such a good person." That's meant to be a happy moment. The entire point of this movie is that the dinosaurs are dying out in the rest of the world. You are gonna take this thing from the one place it can live, and you are going to kill it. You are a fucking dumbass. As I said, I'm so sick of children in these movies. I don't know why they're here. All they do is reduce the stakes, because we know that obviously this franchise is too cowardly to kill off children. I love it when movies kill off kids because it actually shows that they have balls. And that's why I like things like Hereditary, Pet Sematary, Terrifier 3. You get things where no one is off limits. Even in the book, when they said before the first trailer came out that there's going to be a scene from the book in the movie, obviously all of us knew it was going to be the raft sequence, but there were some of us hoping that it would be the scene where the baby gets pulled apart by the compies. That would have been sick. That would have been so cool to just have that terrifying opening of the babysitter just entering the room and just seeing the compies and the baby's body parts everywhere. That would have been so, so good. But no, we can't have anything gory in the Jurassic franchise. We can't do that. So yeah, this kid just is so annoying. It doesn't add a sense of wonder. It doesn't add a sense of relatability to it. I don't think we've had that since Gray and Tim, I think, were the only ones who actually captured this properly. So please get the humans out of this franchise. The humans. Get the kids out of this franchise, because they add nothing. The only reason this family exists was to have the kid on the island. That's literally it. They serve no other purpose in this movie. So let's just move on from that and get back to what I was talking about, which is when this family is sleeping, the boyfriend's like, "I gotta take a piss." So he goes. He's in the foreground. All the focus is on him. He is crystal clear, 4K, everything. Everything in the background is blurred. And you see these two raptors sneaking up on him. And obviously, they're raptors because you can vaguely see the head shape. You can't see the actual designs, but you can see the vague head shape. And as it's about to jump, this Mutodon jumps in, kills them both, and grabs both the raptors and flies off. My God. Look, people hated that they killed the T-Rex in Jurassic Park 3. I will forever love that scene because I knew Spinosaurus was my favorite dinosaur before I watched Jurassic Park 3. And I always thought that, T-Rex was just such a boring answer for people's favorite dinosaur. So when I saw the Spino kill the Rex, I was so happy. And the reason why I think that worked better is because Spinosaurus, remember, at the time, that was a scientifically accurate Spinosaurus at the time. So it beating the T-Rex makes complete sense. The T-Rex had a cool introduction, it looked good, it was clear, it had a good fight with the Spinosaurus, and it lost to a dinosaur which, at the time at least, could have beaten it. Here, you get a much worse version of that. The raptors are in the background, they're blurred, you can barely see them, and then on top of that, they don't get a fight, and they are killed by a completely fictional creature. So it just completely, it's probably one of the worst scenes of the movie. And honestly, there's a lot of scenes I could say that for, where I'm like, this is the worst scene in the movie, this is the worst scene in the movie, this is the worst scene in the movie. I hated this. I absolutely hated this, because the raptor design that we have seen on all the merchandise looks so good. Imagine being the artist who made these raptors, who designed these raptors, only to see, that the thing isn't even used in the movie. It's just this blurry mess in the background to be killed by this, mini Rodan. And it's such a disappointment. It really, really is. It's not even a disappointment. It is just straight disrespect. It is disrespectful. And it pissed me off to no end. So, yeah. The Raptors scene is absolutely atrocious. Probably the worst dinosaur deaths of the franchise. And the thing is, the disrespect doesn't even stop when they're dead, because the Mutodon is somehow strong enough to grab one in one claw, one in the other, and fly away with them. Because that makes sense. Okay, I've spoken about the score, and let me just talk about one surprise. I know I'm going all over the place, but I'm adding a sense of unpredictability to it, because I was going to put this in order of events of the movie, but I was like, just add a bit of chaos. So, near the beginning of the movie, when they play the Jurassic Park theme for the first time, the first of like 1,000, they show a fisherman's net. And when they drop the fish, you see something which made me gasp so loudly in the cinema. I think I probably disturbed a bunch of people, because you see the severed head of a Dunkleosteus. For those of you who don't know, Dunkleosteus is one of the most dangerous fish to ever live. Its mouth is one that you do not want to be bitten by, because this thing does not have regular teeth. It has teeth which are just blades of bone. And my god, it is ferocious as hell. And I originally thought that it was a skull. I thought that it was maybe a skull they picked up, but when I rewatched it, I saw, no, there's the eye, there's the flesh. This was a living Dunkleosteus, which then begs the question, who made said Dunkleosteus? Because as far as we know, the Mosasaurus was the only aquatic creature that was made. I know there's the Nothosaurus in Camp Cretaceous, but yeah, there was that, and then it is hinted that, well, not hinted, but Duncan literally says that, they are living megalodons, because when Martin Krebs is sitting in the jaws of the dead one, he's like, you wouldn't want to end up in the jaws of a live one. So that heavily implies that Megalodon is also real in this universe. It is also living. So yeah, that was really cool. And I love that this movie did that. It had a lot of species which were hidden from the marketing. The Dunkleosteus head, granted, I don't know what could have bitten through the hide of a Dunkleosteus. Unless it was a Megalodon, but the bite did not look that big, so who knows. There's the Dunkleosteus. There was this weird, like, Anurognathus looking thing. There was a snake. Now, I know a lot of us, our minds immediately went to Titanoboa and then immediately went, wait, but that's too small. I don't know what it could be. Is it Orthorhynchus or something? There are obviously other prehistoric snakes, but we don't actually see this thing. So, who knows what it could have been. There was also a salamander, that could have been a Canthostega. It could have been maybe a weird Kulosuchus or something like that, but I think it was probably a Canthostega. So there was that. A lot of weird creatures. But let's just talk about the actual creatures that we have in the movie. So we have a baby pteranodon in the scene where we meet Duncan. We see it's in a cage. We have the Mosasaurus, which oh my god, this movie is probably the most incompetent film of the franchise. This is absolutely despicable. It is unforgivable and just plain dumb, because this Mosasaurus looks nothing like the one in Jurassic World, and yet the movie implies that it is the same one, because Martin Krebs says, "Oh, InGen lost track of it after it broke out of the park," or something like that, implying that this is the same Mosasaurus, even though it's a different color, it has a different tail, it has a different head, its entire body is different. There's nothing similar about this Mosasaurus and the previous one. So that is just horrific, absolutely atrocious there. And they don't really explain why the why this island is, why it exists. The only reason we can think of is like it was the shady version of Isla Sorna. With Isla Sorna, they bred the dinosaurs and then brought it over to Jurassic Park. But here they did like the shady work, which then begs the question: why was the Spinosaurus made on Isla Sorna and not this place, Isla, whatever the fuck it was called? But yeah, that was just another plot hole I had. But anyway, back to the creatures. Which, by the way, I know I just did it, and I'm sorry, but Jonathan Bailey's character calling the Mosasaurus and the Quets dinosaurs, I wanted to punch him. But yeah, there was that. The Spinosauruses I thought were awesome, and they made for the second female death in the franchise. Obviously, it was PG-13, which sucks. I mean, we get some blood, with the receding tide, but come on, man. You could have showed something. But yeah, the Spinosaurs I thought were quite cool for the one scene they had. They killed they killed a mutant. They killed Francis from Deadpool. So there was that. It's a shame they only had that one scene, but hey ho, whatever. The Titanosauruses, I think, could have been better because this is another scene where they just reuse the Jurassic Park theme, and they are somehow able to hide in the long grass because the long grass, for perspective, is like just taller or maybe just shorter than the people, right? We'll just say like 1.6 meters. So if the Titanosaurus is able to stay hidden, or sorry, obscured by the long grass, you're telling me that the width of a Titanosaurus is less than the height of a person. This movie makes no sense. But yeah, I again liked the CGI on it. I liked the little. I know they were gonna have a humping scene, which they didn't have, um, but they were gonna have that. Instead, it's sort of like a little romantic, lovey scene with the two Titanosaurs. I thought that was quite cool. But yeah, I don't like the head design. But anyway, apart from them, you have the Quets. Now the Quets is something that I want to get into because. What? No, I don't want to. Oh, fuck. So, let me try and explain this. Because I tried explaining this to my one friend. You know who you are. And either he's an idiot or I just didn't explain it very clearly. So, in Jurassic World Dominion, Biosyn brought their dinosaurs back, or creatures, because they brought Dimetrodon as well. They brought their creatures back with like in their like purest form. So basically, all the Biosyn created dinosaurs and creatures are exactly how they looked in prehistoric times. That's why their Moros intrepidus had feathers. That's why the Giga looked exactly like the one from the prologue, things like that. And one of the things that they brought back was the Quetzalcoatlus. Now, the one in Dominion looks very simple. That is the scientifically accurate one in the in-universe. So in the Jurassic universe, that is how the Quets looked in real life, in history. And the mutated one is the one that has that like extra flick on the beak. So that only the InGen one. That only exists on that island. So then why, when we are in the museum, before we even, leave the mainland, why is the skeleton in that museum the one of the mutated Quets and not the one of the actual scientific Quets? How does that make any sense? That literally makes no freaking sense because you have the skeleton of something which no one has found yet and it's in the museum when that's not the scientifically accurate one. So that made no sense. But overall, the Quets I thought was quite cool. Obviously it ate that guy whole, which really made me think of the Hatzegopteryx from Planet Dinosaur, when it just ate those Magirasaura. Oh my god. But yeah, I quite like the quets. I like the quills on the back, and it's a shame that the toy never came. Yeah, I don't know what it is with Mattel. They sent everything. They sent the freaking Hammond Collection Spinosaurus, which I do have, but they didn't send the Rebirth quets. We have every other Rebirth toy except the Quetzalcoatlus, and that's like the one I wanted the most. But anyway, moving on. We get, of course, the raptors, unfortunately. We get the Aqualops, which looks a bit strange. I don't know. Aqualops did not look like that, but anyway. We have easily the best dinosaur of the movie, and that is the T-Rex. I never would have thought that I would say that the T-Rex is the best dinosaur of the movie. But here we are. Love the design. I love the design. I love the color scheme. I love the CGI, but most importantly, I loved how it reacts. I love how it acts like an actual animal. It doesn't act like a freaking Avenger, going to save the humans and stuff. Now, I will be honest, this T-Rex, along with the Spinosaurus, a lot of animals in this movie do suffer from the fact that obviously you get a lot of shitty moments when characters should have been bitten, but the dinosaurs missed them by like half a centimeter. The good example is the Spinosaurus scene, obviously. This scene that I just brought up, and the Mosasaurus scene from when it attacks the family towards the beginning. I say towards the beginning, it's like 40 minutes into the movie, but when the boyfriend character is swimming to the boat, the Mosasaurus is like right behind him. It's basically by his feet. But every time the shot cuts, the Mosasaurus just goes further back and back and back. And that is just utter bullshit. I should have eaten that motherfucker. I wouldn't have had to suffer with him throughout the movie. Where was I going with this? Oh yeah, the T-Rex. This as well is another scene which is it just shows how stupid these characters are. This older daughter is finally doing something useful and going and getting this raft. Now, obviously, of course, most of us know this raft sequence from the book. And a lot of people are saying, oh, why did she inflate the raft on land? Bro, are you dumb? It literally says inflate on land. The raft will sink if it's inflated in water. That's literally what it says on the box. But the way that she does this is so annoying because she drags it in a way that it keeps, like the other side keeps lifting up and slamming down on the dock. She could have literally just grabbed both sides and dragged it so it doesn't make any noise. But regardless, it expands, the T-Rex vanishes somehow. I don't know. The T-Rex vanishes. I don't know how you lose a T-Rex when in the first movie you could hear its footsteps from so far away. But there was that. And then you get the raft sequence where it is just drinking and it sees the thing floating down the river. It follows them in the water. It follows them along the bank. It's so cool. And obviously it would have been way better if the kid died. And the rest of the family as well. But still, cool sequence. Very, very cool sequence. Loved this T-Rex. Probably the best T-Rex of the franchise, if I'm going to be honest. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. But I believe that's all the dinosaurs. I could be wrong, but I believe that's everything. And then we move on to the mutants. Now, the one that I sort of want to get out of the way right now are the Mutadons. The Mutadons are really the thing that sort of broke the fan base because there were a lot of people, myself included, open to the Distortus Rex, since it was like a disabled T-Rex, basically, like a failed experiment. I say disabled, more of a deformed T-Rex, But the Mutadons are just ridiculous. I was, again, open to the idea, but they are just flat out ridiculous. And again, this proves that this movie should not have been titled Rebirth, because we are just going more ridiculous and stupid with the animals of this franchise. This is a hybrid. This is not a mutant. The Mutadon, which, by the way, stupid ass name, the Mutadon is a hybrid. There's no denying this. There's no going, oh, well, actually, no. No, there's no actually. It says on the actual incubation chamber, hybrid mutadon. What more do you want? This is stupid because this implies that the mutadons are then the first hybrids ever created. And I'm sick of this retconning. The Scorpius Rex, finding out that was made before Indominus Rex, sure, that made sense. That's fine. But the mutadons, what is this? What is this fucking bullshit? This thing is not a goddamn mutant because it is just a straight up monster. This is Rodan from Godzilla King of the Monsters, except he's just shrunken down. And the thing is, if it was a mutant, people say, oh, you're supposed to feel sorry for these things. Why am I meant to feel sorry for this? This thing can walk perfectly fine. I know on the one poster with Scarlett Johansson, it had like its sickle claw on the other side of the foot. So obviously that probably would have provided some stability issues. No, it can walk fine. It's a big creature, it probably can't fly. It can fly perfectly fine. It's actually so strong that it can lift 2 full Velociraptor corpses. Its sight seems to be fine. And of course they use this to rip off the kitchen scene again. Oh my god. I'm so sick of this shit. And especially since the way that it gets into the store is literally above this stupid ass child. And she somehow only notices it when it's in front of her on the floor. Bruh, I know it's a thing with movies, but this one especially. Do these characters not have peripheral vision? Are they seriously only able to see what's in front of their fucking eyes? It is so annoying. So there was that. I really did not like the Mutadons. And I hate them, actually. I will straight up say, I hate them. I don't know why they decided to do this. They are too dumb. They're too ridiculous. They ruined Jurassic. And I'm seeing a lot of people who hated on Dominion go, oh yeah, this is Jurassic. This is cool, man. Look, if you find it cool, I'm happy for you. I always am happy when people find enjoyment of things I didn't like. But to me, I don't understand how you can hate on Dominion, but not Rebirth. Dominion at least made sense. Jurassic World Rebirth is just bullshit after bullshit after bullshit. Plot holes galore, inconsistencies, incompetence. So, I don't understand this. But regardless, moving on. Of course, the Mutadons, which they're not mutants, but whatever. They're not the only creature here. The main thing which has been advertised all over the place is the D-Rex, or as Mattel have called it, the Distortus Rex, which it's never called the Distortus Rex in the movie. It's only ever called the D-Rex, even by the scientists who made the thing, or at least, observe it. This thing looks so cool in the opening sequence. The opening sequence, I know, I'm talking about the opening sequence 37 minutes into the video, but the opening scene was just showing the lab, and then we have a Final Destination-esque scene, which is pretty funny that this came out the year of another Final Destination movie, R.I.P. Tony Todd, where the scientist rips open a Snickers wrapper. Now, the first time I watched this movie, I did not even notice that I didn't even notice that this was a Snickers wrapper. I just thought it was a random black piece of paper. So I saw everyone outraged about the Snickers bar, and I'm like, what's happening? What happened with the Snickers bar? But yeah, that's what happened. It got pulled into the door, and it somehow led to the destruction of the entire lab. I don't really know how, because that was just the inner set of doors. Like the other set was left closed. So the Distortus Rex should not have been able to escape. The Mutadons shouldn't have been able to escape. How did this lead to the destruction of the entire lab? I don't know. But I will admit that the scene of the logo scene, I loved it. Both times I got goosebumps, because obviously I love horror movies, and I wish that this franchise would go back to the horror roots. This one, it sort of like dips its toe into it, but that logo, I can't even say title because I don't know what it is with Dominion and this movie, with them not showing the fucking title of the movie. They're like, oh, Jurassic Park logo, look at me. But it's the logo that zooms in over the red fog and stuff, and you just hear that woman screaming. That is so good. It's so amazing. The only way it could have been better is if it actually had the Jurassic World Rebirth title, but anyway, whatever. Also, another just bit of amazing writing is I'm glad that after 17 years, the power still comes on every night. You know, I'm so grateful for that, man. So happy. But yeah, moving on. The D-Rex itself was absolutely terrible. Um, I asked someone before watching the movie, look, just be straight with me here. Is the D-Rex in the movie apart from the opening and the ending? And they're like, no, it's literally only the opening scene and the ending scene. So I went into the movie with that expectation, and very much like how I watched Black Widow, not expecting much of Taskmaster because I knew she was garbage, I was still disappointed with the D-Rex. This thing is just an absolute abomination, and not in a good way. This does not belong in Jurassic. I thought that it was cool in the marketing, and I was hoping that the movie itself would help it, but I can't. I cannot justify this anymore. I loved the genetic meddling that we have in this franchise. Of course, you have all the OG dinosaurs. You have the Indominus Rex, I thought was phenomenal. My favorite dinosaur of the franchise. Indoraptor, complete disappointment, but the thing itself was cool. Scorpius Rex, absolutely loved it, but again, we were like, another hybrid, really? But this, this is just generic monster movie. This is not Jurassic. And the thing is that them being mutants or even hybrids, whatever, do not have anything to do with the rest of the movie. They do not contribute anything to this film because they could have been anything. The D-Rex does not really do anything that a regular dinosaur could have done, or couldn't have done, should I say. You know, and before you go, oh, well, it grabbed Martin Krebs and ripped his head off. It doesn't matter. A T-Rex could have killed him anyway. There was no reason. You know, like Indominus Rex, I think, was great because you didn't know what it could do. You know, you didn't know that it could communicate with raptors. You didn't know it could camouflage. You didn't know it could regulate its body temperature. It can detect thermal radiation. Everything, all of these abilities you didn't know it could do. And the unpredictability is why Indominus worked. The Distortus Rex does nothing. Actually, I'm just going to call it the D-Rex. They didn't bother to call it the Distortus Rex in the movie. I'm just going to call it the D-Rex. So, the D-Rex does jack shit. It shows up. It, you know, has an awesome introduction, though, with the helicopter. I thought that was so cool. And especially with the 4DX, you know, they had the fog. They filled the room with fog. And then once they threw the helicopter down, they blew some air and it like blew the smoke all around the fog all around the room. It looks so cool. But yeah, that's all it does. It just sort of walks around and then it follows the flare and then it's done. It's so stupid. I'm happy that they kept it alive. You know, this and the Spinosaurus from JP3 are the only villain dinosaurs to survive. But this creature is not, it's not worthy of this franchise. Because we were told before this movie came out that we were meant to feel sorry for this thing. That it was, you know, something that wasn't meant to exist. And even Dr. Loomis sort of brings this up. You know, when he's like, why not just euthanize them? You know, why let them suffer? And that's when Martin Krebs says, oh, each species, you know, costs $72 million to make, which, by the way, that is a number that the writers just pulled out of their ass. Sorry, David Kep. But he literally just pulled that number out of his ass because Indominus Rex cost $26 million. You're telling me that a fucking Aqualops cost $72 million to make? Fuck off. Indominus Rex costs a third of that. Piss off with this bullshit. So there was that. And we were supposed to feel sorry for the D-Rex. We were like, oh man, this thing's in pain. It's not living right. Oh man, what a shame. The toy, even the toy, when you press the button and it roars, it sort of shakes its head, as if it's in pain when it roars. It's suffering. The toy added more lore to the D-Rex than the entire fucking movie. The movie added nothing. There's nothing to make you feel sorry for this D-Rex. It's just an abomination. It's just an ugly ass thing, and it should just be killed. There's no reason to feel bad for it. So, yeah. I really just did not like this thing at all. I thought it had like two cool scenes: the opening and the helicopter scene. That was it. That was it. I hope we never see it again. I know it's alive, but I hope we never see this thing again. This is such a disgrace. And I hated the Mutadons more, but the D-Rex was just so disappointing. That's why I chose to get the Funko Pop instead of the toy. Because I have the toy of Indominus Rex, Indoraptor, Scorpius Rex. And I was like, for completionist sake, obviously I need the Distortus Rex. And if the Hammond Collection Spinosaurus hadn't shown up in stores, I would have gotten the D-Rex. But, alas, I will no longer be getting that D-Rex toy, because I didn't like the creature. Also, before we even meet the D-Rex, I forgot to bring this up, but when the family is in the tunnel, running away as usual, as they do, because they're stupid fuckwits, this is a very much an Alien reference of when, like when ScarJo is shooting at the Mutadon. Very Alien-esque, like when the guy is crawling through the tunnel and then the alien just jumps up for a hug. I see what you did, Gareth Edwards. Also, there are like countless scenes from the trailers which were not in this movie. One of which was like the wide shot of of the D-Rex in the like containment thing behind the guy. There was the scene of ScarJo in the first trailer going, none of what you said was good. And, obviously, terrible writing. I'm glad they removed that. There's the Raptors scene, which obviously, because the Raptors, they were like, screw the Raptors. So there was that. And, there was this shot, and there was that shot, and this one, and this one, and this one, and this one, and these ones. I don't even know what scenes I'm talking about as I'm saying that. But I know that editing Chavez will find all the shots, because I know that there's that many shots that were not used in the movie. So, yeah, this is going to be really embarrassing if it's not true. But, whatever. Editing Chavez, do your job, man. So, yeah, that's that, really. But, yeah, this review is just mainly complaining. And honestly, it sucks. It really does suck. Because I love the Jurassic franchise. There isn't a single movie here The Lost World I still really don't like. So it's unfair to say I hate it because I haven't watched it in a long time. But this movie really disappointed me. And all I took away, because as much as I love the idea of the hybrids, mainly Indominus Rex, as much as I love that idea, this is what made me realize, please, we need the real dinosaurs back. These weird monsters we can get in any franchise. You can chuck them in the Hollow Earth in the next Godzilla and Kong movie, in Godzilla and Kong Supernova. We don't need them in Jurassic. We don't need these things, which should not, exist in the timeline. The timeline makes no sense, but there was that. Like they bring up, the original Jurassic Park. Oh yes, this is the testing ground for the OG park. When by the time this, the opening scene of the movie takes place with the Distortus Rex, Jurassic World had already been open for 5 years. So whatever. There was that. And I just sort of sat there being like, why couldn't the Mutadons could have been Utahraptors. They could have been Utahraptors. They could have been Megaraptors. Literally anything. The D-Rex, oh my god, it could have been literally any carnivore. It could have been any carnivore. So yeah, I feel like we need Utahraptors in this franchise, and I want a Carcharodontosaurus, because a Carcharodontosaurus is one of the largest carnivorous creatures to ever walk the earth. And how have you not done that yet? I want that to be the next big bad of the movie. And before I just wrap this up, I would like to give one last comment, and that is that Universal are fucking stupid. Because they was many of you who know the backstory of this movie is that they really rushed. Well, I wouldn't say they rushed it, but they asked David Koepp to write the script, and they were so happy with the script. They were so confident in it that any director, David Leitch included, the director of Deadpool 2, which is actually quite funny considering Francis from Deadpool 1 is here, but even he was attached and he was gone because any director who wanted to make changes to the movie was not fitting because they did not want any changes made to the script. And I just watched this movie and I go, this is the script you are so confident in? This is atrocious. This is a worse Jurassic Park 3. I don't understand. It is the most incompetent movie of the franchise. They do not care about the lore, about the previous events of the movies, about the history, things that were told that that were explained in like the second movie. They don't care about that. They don't care about accuracies, like the Quetz thing, the Mosasaurus thing. Those are simple things which should not have been an issue. And yet the movie just makes it seem like it's something not to worry about. When really it's just showing, look at us. We don't give a shit about anything. Just watch this movie. It was questionable. And it's also another one of those movies where it's just false advertising. They advertised this D-Rex so much, and yet it was barely in the movie. It's only in two scenes. Actually, we'll say one scene. It's only in one sequence, much like the Indoraptor. And I'm tired of this. I am sick of movies falsely advertising themselves. And I'm tired of the genetic monsters of Jurassic. Please. You have so many dinosaur species that you could use. You don't need to make up these weird fictional creatures. You especially don't have to have them kill off, really cool designs of creatures that we already love, like the raptors. That's not necessary. You don't need these things. Just so many dinosaur species. As I said, Utahraptor, Megaraptor, Pyroraptor. I know Pyroraptor was in Dominion, but even pterosaurs. Why? Why did you have to use Quetz? You could have used Ornithocheirus, because Ornithocheirus was the largest until Quetz showed up, unfortunately. But you could have used that. Sauropods. You could have had Saltosaurus. You could have had Augustinia or Shunosaurus. Maybe not to be like the biggest creatures that they needed, but you could have had them be in the movie at least. You didn't need a T-Rex. Again, you could have had a Carcharodontosaurus or maybe an Acrocanthosaurus, something. Just, I'm tired of this, of these weird abominations. The Jurassic franchise was special because they would use dinosaurs that really existed. And now it's just devolved into just genetic monsters. So, yeah. It's obviously not the first time this has crossed the franchise creators' minds, because of course we all know of the concept art for Jurassic Park 4, where we were going to get human dinosaur hybrids, but I'm tired of this. Please. And this movie has already made like $318 million. Please. Please stop it. Please. I beg of you. But one thing that I will just add at the end is I went to watch it the first time and the entire cinema queue area was packed. I had never seen it so full in my entire life. And there was like barely any sort of quote unquote lines. You just sort of went where you could fit in. And then I was like, why is it so busy? And I looked at the cinema and I was like, oh, that's why. Look at this. This is the busiest cinema I've ever seen in my life. But yeah, there were also some people that clapped at the end of the movie and I did not feel like clapping. I'm sorry. So yeah, overall, guys, Jurassic World Rebirth is nowhere near as good as it should have been. Um, it introduces concepts which just should not have existed. It is very predictable with the characters who will survive and who will die. It has a sickening side plot of this family. The dinosaurs are pretty awesome in the scenes, where they're meant to be. The mutants are horrific, and it just shows that, Rebirth is a bunch of bullshit. The subtext should not have been Rebirth. I believe it was meant to be called Jurassic World Survival. I think that would have been better. This ain't a rebirth of the franchise. This is a reawakening. So yeah, that is my overall thoughts on Jurassic World Rebirth. It went from a 6.5 out of 10 on the first watch to a 6 on the second watch. Please let me know your thoughts on Jurassic World Rebirth down in the comment section below. Do you think I was a bit too negative on this movie for being like a diehard fan of this franchise? But please just let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. And if you did enjoy this video, then please leave a like, subscribe, and goodbye.